Hi, welcome to another episode of Minding the Waves, the podcast where we dive deep into life's ebbs and flows with the perfect blend of expert advice and heartfelt conversation. I'm your host, Sarah, joined today with my husband, Trevor. So grab a cup of your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's ride these waves together. One of these days, I'm going to have that memorized.
Noise.
If you're on Vine, then you know. Noise.
Vine?
Yeah, it's from Vine.
That thing died like a while ago.
Okay, but it's from Vine.
Okay. Look at all these chickens.
You can blame Jasmine. It's her fault.
I think the best one was road work ahead. God, I sure hope it does.
Really?
So
I like the lady with the pans. I don't give a shit because of y'all. I'm not going to give a shit because of me. Oh, y'all got no sleep because of y'all? Y'all not going to get no sleep.
I promise she's normal behind the screen. Okay?
I'm not at all.
I promise. She's not.
I think that says more about you because you married me.
Don't remind me.
All right. So our topic for today is overwhelm, because both of us do struggle with anxiety and feeling overwhelmed a lot of the time.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed these days. I feel like compared to people who grew up in like the 70s or 80s, even early 90s, I think with the internet and just having that instant access to information and terrible news, because let's admit it, the news does not report happy news.
I miss
just
Good News Daily.
I know, it's yeah. John Krasinski, yeah, he's the best, and his wife. But yeah, I just feel like it's so easy these days to just get caught up in life and to put as much on our plates as possible. I know I am definitely an aggressor of that. But it's just so easy to feel overstimulated, overwhelmed, have all these burdens on our shoulders and forget that, like, hey, this is the one chance we were all given. Like, we beat the odds, we were born. Whether that's a good or bad thing's up to you, but, we're here, we have one life, and despite knowing that, it's still hard, to live the most of it and, like, be as happy as we can be. And I'm curious, is there a reason that we kind of get in our own way? Is there a reason that it's so easy these days? And, from your therapeutic side, in your opinion, do you think there's reasons for all this?
Disclaimer, this is not therapy. This is just a therapist talking about her own opinions and, like, navigating life as another human to human perspective. I think there's a lot of different answers to this question. Like most questions, the 24-hour news cycle isn't even 24 hours. It's like a 30-second news cycle. It just like flip. How we talked about this last episode of TikTok, like the instant gratification, all of those things. And I had a conversation with my therapist last week, specifically kind of about this, of there are just people fundamentally who are overachievers, and then there's people fundamentally who are underachievers, and then those who are overachievers are going to continue do all the things. And then so often I say this, and I catch my clients saying this of, well, if I don't do it, no one will. And when you break that down, that is not a good enough excuse to do something. If it's not something that you're passionate about or you care about, we have this one finite life to live. Why are we doing things from a space of because no one else will? And my therapist said something that was really helpful in someone will do it, but the underachievers or the underworkers, the people who are just like cool, sitting back, laying back and watching the people who go over it wasn't underachievers. It was like the overworkers and the underworkers is what she said. The underworkers will do it if given the opportunity. But because the overworkers are always doing it, they never have an opportunity. And they're like, cool, I don't have to do it. I don't care.
Yeah. There's a similar, what's the word, scenario for this in economics. And I forget the exact name of it. Let's just call it the public goods problem, which is pretty much that, everyone likes the free stuff. But, take your local park, for example. Everyone loves to partake in their local park. Parents take their kids there or their dogs, go hang out, go play, right? Go for a walk, for a break. But when it comes to cleaning your park, nobody's going to really do it because everyone thinks, oh, someone else will. If it's not someone that's going to, sanitation that's going to clean it up because they're paid by the city, they think a good Samaritan that's better than them will take care of it, which is a problem because if the first person that saw it just took care of it, then there wouldn't be a problem.
Isn't this the whole theory behind returning your cart?
Yeah.
At the grocery store?
Follow Cartnarks, by the way. Hilarious channel on YouTube. The guy has balls of steel, but he literally just goes to this is a super random tangent, but he goes to these parking lots where people don't put back their carts. And just goes with a little, flashy orange thing, and tries to coerce people to put back their carts. Like, way too much effort. But I mean, at least he's part of the solution, I think.
I think that it goes into other countries have this buy-in as like part of their culture, where they have like this responsibility to the whole. And I think Japan is a really great example of this, as like there's 5-year-olds on public transit. And they're safe and protected and can go in and out. And, like, there's way more independence for children in Japan. And, like, I'm not Japanese, obviously. And I haven't been there. However, I've done some research and, like, talked about this before. And I really love this social concept. But the idea behind it is everyone is responsible for the children of this country. Mm-hmm. And so everyone takes responsibility for it. And thus it is safer.
Yep. It's a good, camaraderie type of mentality.
Yeah.
In those countries where it's a lot more homogenous and easier to kind of police culture and, how we think of things, right? Yeah, I have a random question for you. Mm-hmm. So in Singapore, right, like if you put like a thing of gum on the rail, go to New York or Chicago or whatever, at Los Angeles, you'll see it all over the place. They fine you. Mm-hmm. Is that an example of positive or negative reinforcement? Because positive means you introduce a stimulus, right? Which means I'm giving you a fine, but I'm also taking away your money.
So it's actually not reinforcement at all.
Oh.
So it's a square, and there's positive and negative on like one side. If like we're doing like the diagram, so it's like positive and negative, and then
this is new to me.
Reinforcement and punishment. So it's actually positive punishment because you're inducing, like the positive is you're putting something in it, and it's a punishment, like you are paying a fine.
That makes sense.
So like if I like,
so is it it's positive or negative?
It's positive punishment
because you're giving a punishment.
Because you're inducing something into it. So like it would be a negative punishment, and I could be wrong. I could be remembering this wrong. It's been a long time since I've done basic psychology class.
This is like Psych 101.
Yeah.
It's like simple math.
This is intro to psych.
Yeah,
I'm almost 100% positive, please.
I'm pretty sure 2 + 2 = 4, but maybe it changed.
Math changed.
Math is math.
Okay, but so the example for negative punishment would be I'm taking something away. So, like, you're grounded and can't go to the movies, or I'm taking away your phone. I am taking away the thing you want, so it's negative. Versus,
I want my money. You're taking it away with the fine.
Yes, but I am introducing a fine.
Okay, so how you start the punishment. Okay, so you're giving me something. If you just come right away and just go into my pocket, take my wallet, take the money and run, that's a negative, I guess.
Yeah, I also
really messy version of it.
I think this could be argued in different ways, and I would love to see it argue in the comments of like if I'm wrong with this. And now I know what I'm going to be posting. I'll post a visual that goes along with this. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's not reinforcement at all. It's punishment.
Okay. Anyways, back to Overwhelm.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of different things with Overwhelm, and something that I thought about in like the overworker underworker concept is something that in couples therapy our therapist said to us, and it stuck with me this entire time. I was working in treatment at the time. I was also working in a private practice. I was probably working 50 plus hours a week.
You were struggling back then.
I was high key on the struggle bus, and we were doing like premarital counseling. We were also planning our premarital counseling as we're planning our wedding, doing all the things. There were so many things.
COVID certainly helped too.
Yeah, so much. I was a recent grad.
Yeah.
From grad school, all the things, and there was this buy-in of, I am really good at my job. I have to do these things. If I don't do these things won't get done. And he told me, straight out asked me, he's like, okay, so what? This is your job. You are not the sole person responsible for a company functioning. And if you are, that is not a good company.
Right.
And thus you do not owe this to a company who is paying your paycheck, who is not treating you very well.
It's kind of like that the argument that's on the internet all the time about like PTO, and like people feel guilty for taking PTO, but like no, it's a part of the job. It's like one of the perks. Is one of the reasons that they offered you the job, and one of the reasons you took it. And you're not supposed to feel guilty. Their inability to replace you, whether it's retail or corporate, doesn't make you a bad employee. It makes them bad managers, right? So, yeah. Yeah,
so like and I say this to clients all the time who are struggling in a unhealthy worker environment, whether it's the entire environment was unhealthy, like my experience, or if the job is just unhealthy for you. If your job is going to collapse based on whether or not you're there, that is a failure on your job, your management, your bosses, the company, and structure in and of itself. Not on you. That is not your responsibility. That is not something to take on.
It's also not the end of the world.
It's also not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Oftentimes with anxiety, I'm like, play worst case scenario out.
I was just about to say, like, play it out. Exactly.
Yeah.
What is the worst thing that could happen? Oh, I mean, not that bad.
Yeah. I would also say usually the people with like super high anxiety already have a plan for the worst case scenario ever. So like you already have a plan.
My name's Trevor.
So you already have a plan and a backup plan and like 10 million other backup plans.
And
so
yet I still worry. I don't get it.
Yes, but you have to actually play it forward. Like externalize it. When you're in your brain, there's no room for logic. You're just going to roll. So in talking to someone, like whether it's a therapist, a friend, spouse, if they're safe, talking it through with yourself, but like speaking it out loud, journaling, putting it out there, so then there's room for logic.
I will say that one of the things that helped me a lot, something I just found randomly on Twitter one day, I was like, that's really helpful. And I've talked to my therapist about it, and he agrees. It's just, if you worry about something, whether it's going to happen or not, right? Something's coming up, like a deadline, or you got a really big meeting or something, right? If you worry about it, and that thing comes, best case scenario, right, is that there was nothing to worry about and you put yourself through it anyways. Or it happens as you worried about, and you worried about it twice.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you're just making yourself worry about something twice, and you're putting yourself through those emotions, through that roller coaster twice, rather than just doing your best, playing it out, moving on.
Yeah.
Which is hard to... It's easy.
Easy to say, hard to do.
It's hard to internalize, but, like, I try.
Yeah. I also, like, give this perspective of, okay, give yourself that time. Play worst case scenario. Come up with your backup plans. But then take a step back, really sit in yourself, get present in your body. What do you actually have control over right here, right now? What is something you can actually do? And this is something I implemented so much in our wedding planning process.
Yeah.
You heard me talk about this all the time. That's 2022 Sarah's problem, because this was happening in 2021.
Yeah.
That's 2022 Sarah's problem. That's February Sarah's problem. That's future Sarah's problem. And because future Sarah can do something about it. Present Sarah is just going to worry and drive herself crazy. But there's actually nothing I can do.
It is hard, though, when, like, you know what to do, you know what needs to be done, and you have to wait.
It is hard. So I'm...
Like sending an email where it's like, I need to get this thing done. I just want this project or this problem done. I've done all I can. I've sent the email, and I have to wait for the response, and it kills me.
So that's what I'm working through. It's like, there's a piece of this. It's like, what can I actually do about that right now? Mm-hmm. Is there something you can do? If there's something you can do about it, do it. If there's not, then we're going to put that in a box. Put that box on the shelf, and we're going to sit in it. And we're going to keep reminding ourselves, I have done everything possible for me to do. I have done all the things. I'm now using all my, like, ow, there's something in my eye.
Noise.
I'm now using all the things in my toolbox to help get through helping me ground myself in this anxiety, where that's square breathing, like a mindfulness practice, grounding techniques, somatic mindful, whatever those techniques are. And at the end of the day, you can still feel anxious. Yeah. It's like, and then you remind yourself, okay, this thing on the shelf, I cannot do anything about. Mm-hmm. I am not taking on those responsibilities the second, and I mean the millisecond, I can do something about it, I will. Next step. I have done everything possible, and this actually works with the depression too, on top of anxiety. I have done everything possible to make myself feel better, and I still feel like shit. Well, at least I did everything possible. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah. It's to kind of build off your analogy there with putting on the shelf. I feel like this is a great example of sometimes doing something healthy leads to other healthy things happening, where, like, continuing the analogy, if I were to put it on the shelf, my first reaction, my first thought when you said that was, what if my shelf's full? I was thinking, well, let's reassess. And mm-hmm. you do this all the time. You tell me, like, well, do check-ins, right? Do mental health check-ins. And, like, I look at the shelf, go, well, that's from years ago. Why is that still up there? It's like closing all the tabs on your laptop after a project. It's like, I never closed these tabs. Holy cow. And then you clean it out, and it's like, oh my God, I got a beautiful shelf. Look at that. Like, The
key to putting something on a shelf is you eventually have to deal with it again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have to deal with it again, because that's when you get that overwhelm comes up. Like when there's too many boxes and tabs open, you become overwhelmed. You start, or you like explode, or there's a lot of things. Those emotions start like boiling up, and you're like, you can't even communicate what's going on. Yeah. Break it down. And, like, that's great for to-do lists, too. Like, so many people are like, I have an endless to-do list. I'm never going to accomplish it. Okay, what does your to-do list look like? Clean the kitchen. Do the laundry. Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. I'm like, those aren't easy things. And what do you mean those are easy things? You just do this. And I was like, okay, let's break it down step by step. Doing the laundry. How many different parts are to that? Mm-hmm. Making sure you have all the dirty clothes that are around your space on the floor, wherever you're putting them, are in the hamper. Taking the hamper to the laundry room. And for us, that's like across the way. It's a distance. From there, putting it, like separating out clothes, like colors.
Who does that?
People do.
Yeah.
Then putting it in the washer, setting the settings, remembering to move it to the dryer.
Sometimes you gotta take some stuff out. And
sometimes you gotta take stuff out. Us girls know you can't put a bra in the dryer.
Apparently. Or in the hallway.
Yes. Take some stuff out for the dryer. Put it on the dryer. Sometimes it's not done after one setting. Put it again, and remembering to do that.
Man, you made this so much more complicated than it is for me. No wonder you hate laundry.
Right? Then you have to fold, and then put away, and hang.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
And carry it back to the place to put it away, and all the things.
Yeah.
So when you break it down, that's not just one step. And so when you're making it one step and one check mark, when it could be 10 check marks, then you're not acknowledging your own accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
And, like, you could do that for cleaning your room, for cleaning the kitchen.
Doing dishes.
Doing dishes.
Taking out the trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That's great.
There's a breakdown of steps.
Yeah.
So it stops being so overwhelming. So I want to end on this note of I'm very much like a quote person. And
a lot of therapists are, I've noticed. You guys put those quotes in your tool chest, you know?
They work. And, like, so many times these themes come up over and over and over again. There's a reason why I feel like sometimes I just, like, sound like a broken record, at least to myself. But I've always been a quote person. For those of you who knew me in middle school, if anyone is out there and ever went to my house, I literally had a quote wall. My entire wall was covered in, like, pieces of paper of different quotes, handwritten, printed out, like, entire wall.
Oh, no wonder you love my gift where I just gave you a bunch of quotes.
Yeah. So, like, that was a really big thing for me, and I've always loved that. And so something to keep in mind, I have two for you, is you have lived through all of your hardest days, even when they felt impossible or there was no getting through it. You have lived through all of your hardest days. And those of you in it, you will. Hopefully. And if you're struggling, ask for help. It's okay. That is the biggest strength, is asking for help, not weakness.
Yeah.
The other thing I will put out there, and, like, these are literally things I saw on TikTok, or not on TikTok, on Instagram today. I actually just reposted this one that I'm about to say, is, I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to quote it personally. Okay. There's a past version of you that is so proud of how far you have come.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, in all the overwhelm and all the things, you're doing your absolute best. And your absolute best looks different every single day. Every single second sometimes.
My dad used to tell me, this is like, of all of the schlocky things he told me growing up, this is the one that I think is the most meaningful and I always think about is, you know, life is like a forest, walking through a forest. And, you know, sometimes there's days where we have huge strides and we feel like we're making a lot of progress, and some days where we just have to go step by step and, you know, tiptoe or take a rest break, right? And every tree we pass feels like an accomplishment, but that next tree is always there. And sometimes you just got to turn around and look at the forest that you've already conquered. Look at all that, you know, the mileage that you've traversed and how much you've accomplished, and, you know, next tree seems like nothing.
Yeah, and I think that's like the like when you're looking just tree to tree, that it becomes overwhelming versus like you zoom out and it's like how far you've come versus like
zoom out,
how much like you might not realize that you're almost out of the forest.
Yeah.
So just remember, there's a past version of you that is so proud of who you are today. And if that's not helpful, we're proud of you. And we fully understand the overwhelm. So
absolutely.
Write down in the comments any suggestions, thoughts. If you have any questions, let us know. If you have anything you would like us to cover in our next episode, let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And with that, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.